Previously on the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast.
We are going to be experiencing a TARDIS crew that we haven't read before, at least certainly not in a novel.
Ooh.
An author that we've not read in a novel before.
Okay.
We are going to be reading Shining Darkness by Mark Michalowski, featuring the 10th Doctor and Donna Noble.
Oh, okay. Very cool. I'm trying to picture that book and I can't, which is... it's on my shelf somewhere, I'm sure, but...
Yes.
Cool.
The cover has David Tennant and Catherine Tate kind of looming.
Donna Noble, I think, is probably my favorite new series companion, so...
Yeah, and we've not read any book featuring her, have we?
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think we have.
Yeah. So hopefully this might be a bit more conventional.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
And now our story continues.
Welcome, everyone, to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. This is Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's going good. It's a beautiful sunny day over here.
Wonderful weather for podcasting.
Yes, wonderful weather for podcasting. How's it going, Matt?
It's going well. Happy March, Chris. It's going, despite all the stuff that's happening in the news.
Yes.
We're still here,
yes.
So that's good.
Yes, it's interesting times, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At some point, I would love to be able to drop the stay safe, and I know I've said that before, but it's like, okay, all right. In the UK, the pandemic seems to be kind of like over, according to the government, and now we have whatever's going on in the Ukraine. So, dear. Interesting times.
Yeah.
If it's not one thing, it's another.
This month we are reviewing Doctor Who's Shining Darkness by Mark Michalowski, starring the 10th Doctor and Donna Noble. But first, we've got a bit of Doctor Who book news to share. There's a book coming out sometime later this year. There's no specific date announced as of yet, but it's a hardcover book called The Daily Doctor. And it's looks to be a hefty tome of 464 pages. Written by Steve Tribe, who has authored or co-authored the Companions and Allies book, the TARDIS Handbook, the Dalek Handbook, and the History of the Universe in 100 Objects book. Mm-hmm. So something to look forward to, but we don't have a lot of details about it as of yet.
Cool.
Shall we talk about show and tell?
Yeah, let's do show and tell. Whilst I reach for my show and tell. So what have you got? What have you got for us for show and tell?
So the last few months, I've gone deep down the rabbit hole of Doctor Who YouTube reactors. So these are folks that film themselves reacting to Doctor Who for the first time. Sometimes New Who, sometimes Classic Who, sometimes both. And I guess the reason I enjoy it so much, and this harkens back to one of the Meanwhile in the TARDIS segments between the 11th Doctor and Amy Pond, where he told her that he travels with companions to see the universe through the eyes of somebody who hasn't experienced it all already. Mm-hmm. And I find myself very much thinking about that when I sit down to watch some of these. And my favorite channels are Jess from Seska Says, Medusa Cascade, Fail Whale 34, Alexa Chipman, Luke and Deepa, and the two brothers, CJ Who. And of course, it's not just Doctor Who. They're reacting also to things like Blake 7, The Clone Wars, Farscape, The Prisoner, all sorts of fun shows. But I really have enjoyed them, and I would recommend in particular Medusa Cascade's reaction to Time Lash.
Yes.
Which I think I shared with you, as it goes against much of the perceived fan wisdom around that story. And then Seska, Jess's hysterical reaction to the three doctors, which she somehow managed to see without being spoiled, not even on the title of the episode. So those in particular I'd recommend seeking out. But
Yeah.
it's a fun way to whittle away the hours when you don't feel, when you're procrastinating or,
Yeah, the Time Lash one is fantastic. It definitely put a spring in my step just watching that. And I don't think you have to like Time Lash to appreciate a video, but it's just nice to hear other people kind of just sort of saying, you know what, it's not quite as bad as all of that.
Yeah, and I'm excited for it too with the upcoming Blu-ray release, because it's the story that was picked to have all new effects. So I'm wondering if they're going to be replacing the tinsel with something else.
Yeah.
How about you, Chris?
Right, I've got something that you actually brought to my attention, and I went ahead and purchased, which is The New Adventures by David J. Howe.
Oh, yeah, that's an excellent book.
This is a hardback book looking into the history of primarily the Virgin New Adventures. Yeah, it's a very readable tome. It has a few tales I hadn't heard before, as well as confirmation about the Ben Aronovich's computer issues possibly not being quite as reported. I was quite intrigued as well that Andrew Hunt, who wrote Cat's Cradle, Witchmark, was 19 when he wrote that.
He follows us on Twitter as well.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. But it's been many years since I've read that.
Yeah, I think Witchmark has probably my favorite cover art of any of the New Adventures. It's just so striking. And then I didn't realize that particular piece was up for sale a few years ago for a very reasonable price, and I missed out on it.
Oh dear.
And having the original artwork.
Yeah.
That would have been quite something to hang on the wall in the house.
But yeah, I mean, speaking of the artwork, I mean, there's a lot of investigations into like the covers and interviews with kind of like the artists, and also as well interviews with people like Rebecca Levine, who was the editor for a fair old amount of the time, as well as Peter Darville Evans and Nigel Robinson. So there's a lot of interesting information. Yeah, definitely worth your while if you're interested in the Virgin Publishing Doctor Who era.
It's a wonderful companion piece to the Target book, which she had put out a few years earlier. And that similarly has some wonderful full-color cover art reproductions as well.
Yeah, and it also has the alternative cover for Christmas on a Rational Planet, which is horrible.
But at least it's there.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you see quite because a few authors did sketches as to how they envisaged the cover to look like, and so yeah, it's really quite interesting. I'm not wanting to spoil its contents, but it's definitely it is worth a read, I would say.
Indeed. All right, so that brings us to Shining Darkness.
Yes.
This book features the 10th Doctor and Donna, which we've not read before, and I was surprised to find that there's something like probably a dozen or 2 dozen stories featuring the 10th Doctor and Martha. But the 10th Doctor and Donna, there's only a handful of stories available to choose from. So Mark Michalowski, he's written a few Doctor Who books prior to this one. He wrote Relative Dementias.
Excellent title. That's quite a cool. I mean, I've not read the book, but it's an interesting pun, isn't it?
And that's a past Doctor book featuring the 7th Doctor and Ace. And he's also written the 8th Doctor novel Half-Life. And then 2 10th Doctor books, both this one with Donna and then Wet World with Martha Jones. And he's also written a number of short trips for Big Finish, as well as entries in both the Benny and Iris Wildtime series. And he was born in Chesterfield in 1963, so he's as old as the show itself. And he was the editor of Shout, which was Yorkshire's LGBT newspaper. And he lives and works in Leeds, or he did at time of publication.
Yeah.
So this is originally published in September of 2008 in hardcover, alongside, I think, Ghosts of India and The Doctor Trap. And Shining Darkness has several references to Planet One, which is, I guess, a planet that the Doctor and Donna visit in The Doctor Trap, so it's set after that. And then it was later republished in paperback alongside The Many Hands and Prisoner of the Daleks in like a 3-book omnibus volume. And in terms of setting, this is likely, I think, somewhere early in Series 4, because Donna recalls robot Santas from The Runaway Bride and the city of Pompeii and then the Ood Sphere. So this is very early days for Donna. And the audiobook version of Shining Darkness, and it's a very much abridged version of the story, coming in at only 2.5 hours. So if you want the full experience, I'd recommend the actual book and not the cut down version.
Yeah.
And the book itself features a prologue, 17 untitled chapters, and an acknowledgement section. And Mark dedicates the book to Dave and Steve and tells them good luck in Scotland. So shall we get started?
Yeah, let's. So arriving on the planet Uhala in the Andromeda Galaxy, the Doctor and Donna find themselves in a civilization that's kind of mixed between organic and mechanical species. And the Doctor takes Donna to an art gallery to see some examples of Andromedan art. And like, this is not the Star Trek Andromedans. Those are the blue ones with the slightly antennae heads, aren't they?
Or those are Andorians, I think.
Oh, Andorans. Yeah. Oh, okay, right. Oh,
that's okay.
Showing my ignorance, sorry. Anyway, that was me trying to be clever.
And I thought you were going to be making a Gene Roddenberry Andromeda reference.
Yeah, no, I remember that being on TV. I don't remember seeing it. Right. So they're in this art gallery, and the Doctor spots an unusual artifact. It's kind of like a rusty truck wheel, but it's been encrusted with diamante. So he gets out his sonic screwdriver, and he reckons this probably isn't a work of art at all. He goes off in search of the gallery's owner, and meanwhile, Donna is surrounded by 3 supermodel types as she looks at the strange artifact. And then suddenly, Donna finds herself being transmattered. And Donna, the supermodels, and the display case containing the artifact appear in a darkened room aboard a spaceship. And a small fat man enters the room and has her taken to an unused bedroom by the supermodels. And judging from their astonishing strength, Donna assumes that these women are in fact humanoid robots.
This whole prologue that kind of sets this up, I did like a listen where I compared the audiobook version to what was in the story.
Yeah.
And I was just surprised at how much was removed. Like, in the book, there's a couple of different aliens that Donna encounters, like, on her way into the art gallery that kind of sets the stage for things. And all of those were taken out of the reading. So at that point, I shut the audiobook recording off and just stuck with the book itself.
Yeah.
I like, too, that they're going to a different galaxy, because we don't get that often in Doctor Who. I think most of what happens in Doctor Who is set in the Milky Way or Mutter's Spiral.
Yeah.
The Ice Hop Galaxy from the Web Planet gets a mention in the text. And then, for the most part, the Doctor mentions, too, that he's kind of unfamiliar with how things are set up in the Andromeda Galaxy as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice that we're in a place that the Doctor's also unfamiliar with. It's kind of refreshing, I think. So after Donna's transmitted up, the Doctor races back through the city streets to get to the TARDIS before the transmat traces vanish. And he arrives at the TARDIS, but before he can enter, the Doctor finds that the TARDIS doors are blocked by a very large robot, which is depicted on the cover, as well as a teenage boy who seems to be in charge. They picked an accurate picture of Donna for the cover. The text references that she's wearing her big fur coat, and she's wearing that. And the Doctor tries to slip by, but he and the TARDIS and the boy and the robot are all transmitted up, this time to a different ship, so it's not the same ship that Donna was transmitted to. And this boy introduces himself as Booney, and the large robot as Mother. And the corridors of the ship are really battered, and you can tell it's been through a lot of battles and has a lot of repair work that's needed. And in the control room, there's a middle-aged woman named Kalik. And from their behavior, the Doctor realizes that this boy is the commander of the ship. And I was getting Star Trek Prodigy flashbacks there. And it became apparent that they're in orbit above Uhala, observing this other vessel, which they call Darklight, which is where Donna's being held.
Meanwhile, on Darklight, the gentleman that had arranged for Donna to be taken, starting to interrogate her. And his name is Garaman. Donna tells Garaman that the Doctor will soon be on their trail, But he's somewhat amused by the fact that she clearly knows nothing about the universe or this particular bit of it, the galaxy or even space travel in general. And that the ship Darklight starts to leave the system. And that Garaman's just asking a little bit more about the Doctor. But Donna, she's not really saying anything. And so Garaman orders one of the robots to break her finger. And he's stopped by a three-legged lizard who appears, called Mesanth. And Mesanth, the lizard, tells Garaman that torture rarely works.
And Mesanth, even though he's somewhat lizard-like, he's humanoid.
Yeah.
And has 3 legs and 3 arms. So I was kind of picturing Eric's from Star Trek the Animated Series, if any folks are familiar with that character. And then Garaman reminded me of kind of a cross between the collector guy from the Sunmakers and Dorian Maldivar from the Matt Smith era.
Yeah, there's a bit of Dorian about him, I have to say.
Kind of like that archetype, yeah.
Yeah, for Mesanth, I was also picturing the lizard creatures from St. Anthony's Fire.
Oh, yeah, the Mark Gatiss, yeah.
Yeah, the New Adventures book, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then the Doctor's placed in a cell aboard the ship, and he ponders about the artifact, which is what Booney seems to be after. And he looks at his sonic screwdriver readings, and it's told him that this artifact contains some very advanced resonance coils. And then an elderly woman brings him a tray of food, and she tells him that he's aboard the Sword of Justice, and that Booney's not actually a boy, but somewhere in his 40s. And her name is Liane, and she says that Booney needs to talk to the Doctor. So we're kind of getting introduced to the crew of this ship.
Yeah.
And Donna's similarly doing the same on her ship, even though they're split apart.
Yeah, so we're being introduced to the key players. So, back on Donna's ship, Darklight, she's trying to impress Garaman and Mesanth, the lizard, with tales of her adventures with the Doctor. Also throwing in some other adventures that the Doctor has had that he's mentioned in passing. So, we hear references like to the Rachnos, the Ood, and Garaman and Mesanth. They're not particularly impressed by any of this. But they're more interested when Donna says that she's a little bit creeped out by some of the robots on the ship. When they tell her that they view mechanicals as an inferior species, she agrees and then starts to complain about her treatment at the hands of the robot Santas. And Garaman warms to her and offers her a guided tour around the spaceship.
And Donna's spaceship is a lot more posh than the Doctor's in terms of interior. You can tell that these folks have a lot of money that are financing their expedition here.
Yep.
So we go back to the control room of the Sword of Justice, which is the ship that the Doctor's on, and it contains Booney, Kalik, and 4 robots of kind of different designs from all over and slightly bizarre. And there's a bustle about the place as they prepare to arrive in the Karis system. And Booney tells the Doctor that the cultist ship that they're following has just arrived too. And then he fills the Doctor in on the backstory of this other ship, and he calls them the Cult of Shining Darkness. And he says that they're wealthy followers of a scientist, a woman called New M. Lotus. And after her disappearance and presumed death 2 years earlier, the cult had gone quiet, but 2 months ago they had restarted their activities. And they're this kind of they call themselves organic supremacists. So when I read that, I was like, oh, that's in the news. And these organic supremacists refuse to believe that machine intelligences are sentient. And Booney's trying to track them down to find out what they're doing and to stop it, whatever it is. And during this conversation, the Darklight vanishes from the sensors, but the Doctor's able to crawl beneath the control panel and boost the sensor capacity quite a bit to overcome the Darklight's shields, so they were kind of cloaked, and find them again. And then Booney begins to wonder what sort of man can arrive suddenly and double the capacity of his ship's sensors.
Which is a fair enough question, isn't it?
And I think the Doctor also, over the course of time, enhances their shields and does some other upkeep work for them on their ship.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of get the feeling, maintenance hasn't really been a priority. And, so over on the Darklight, Donna's on a guided tour. Yeah, she's just starting to realise how palatial the ship is. At the end of the tour, Garraman announces that they've picked up their pursuer's trail, which pleases him because he's not particularly fussed about being followed, but he'd much rather know who it is that's following them. So Mesanth and Donna transmat to the surface of the planet Karis, and they're also accompanied by one of the supermodel robots and a well-muscled human called Ogmany. And this planet, Karis, it's a desert planet, and it's much to the liking of Mesanth, the lizard, and sandstorms have made it impossible to beam into the tunnels below ground, where there's another segment of the device that they're looking for. And they go hunting around and find a door in some rocks and start ascending some rough steps. But yeah, so we've got a bit of a key to time kind of vibe going on here.
You know, I like my quest narratives.
Oh yeah, you do. And I don't particularly care for them.
So back on the Doctor's ship, the Sword of Justice, Leanne takes the Doctor to the ship's library, where he finds out about Canu M. Lotus, who is the cult leader. And it turns out she was a great roboticist who some say went mad. And she claimed to have discovered a dark heart in their empire, which would rise up and destroy everything the empire had built. And Leanne says that everyone assumed this to be a reference to machine intelligences, and her mysterious disappearance after this pronouncement led many to think that her ship had been destroyed to somehow stop her from speaking the truth. So perhaps that these mechanicals, which is kind of a derogatory term that the AI doesn't like being referred to as, planning to rise up against the organics in the galaxy. And New M. Lotus had been working on something secret at the time of her death, and Leanne thinks that the segments of this device were broken up, and it's what the cultists are seeking to put back together. And New's death panicked the cult into scattering the parts across the galaxy for safekeeping.
Yeah. Which I guess is one explanation as to why we all go on a quest narrative.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also, I'm getting a kind of a slight Isaac Asimov kind of vibe. So I'm particularly thinking of kind of like the Foundation series a little bit, as well as some of the robot books.
Yeah, and like the rules for robotic intelligences, and yeah.
Right. So on the planet Karis, Mesanth tells Donna that his lizard species are kind of peaceful by nature and prefer to avoid conflict. And they're making their way through the tunnels to the home of a primitive ape-like species, the Jafti. And Donna sees some carvings on the wall showing some of these Jafti being eaten by a huge tentacled monster, which must be a calming sight. And Mesanth says that the presence of the monster is the reason that they've brought the robot along. And the Jafti, on the other hand, should prove no problem, because 2 years earlier they were being led to believe that the cultists are in fact their gods.
When they had dropped off this piece or segment of this device,
Yeah.
Back on the Doctor's ship, Booney's not pleased to find that Leanne had kind of spilled the beans about the cultists and their whole mission, but he's somewhat mollified when Khalik says that the Doctor's modifications to the sensors have allowed them to pick up a trace of the third segment, which is under the planet's surface. And the first part is prior to when the novel began, and that was hidden deep somewhere in a forest on a planet called Chao. And then the Doctor suggests transmatting into the caves beneath the surface to look at the segment before the cultists can retrieve it. But the atmospheric problems in the planet prevented that beaming down, but the Doctor sets about boosting the transmat signal like he did the sensors, so hopefully they'll be able to overcome that and just beam down to where this segment's hidden.
Yeah, and so they don't have to do the wandering around in the desert surface. So in the tunnels, the tentacled monster starts attacking the female humanoid robot that is leading the way, and shatters it against the rocks. That's quite a shocking scene.
And I think this is where our dramatic reading comes in.
It is, yes.
Which is read by Debbie Chazen from Voyage of the Damned. And it is abridged, but this section is pretty accurate to the text. So let's go ahead and have a listen.
Donna flinched as another howling roar echoed out of the darkness. "The robot will protect us," insisted Mesanth. "And I have this," said Ogmany, holding up a slender silver tube. "A thermal projector." Donna relaxed a little. "That a fancy term for a space gun? Wouldn't it be an idea if Blondie went first?" Mesanth considered Donna's suggestion and waved the robot forwards. All of a sudden, a horrendous howl shattered the silence. Something huge and dark surged out of the side of the passage, striking the bimbot and slamming it up against the opposite wall with a screech of metal. Ogmoney jumped back, his torch skittering away across the floor. He bumped into Donna, who fell back against Mizanth. Faint sparkles of light came from the robot as part of its face fell away, clattering to the ground. "Back! Back!" cried Mizanth, whirling on his 3 feet and pushing Donna away, leaving Ogmoney at the front. "Use your gun!" shouted Donna, as dimly she saw thrashing tentacles oozing out into the passage. Suddenly, the roaring subsided, and the creature's tentacles vanished back into the opening. Sprawled on the floor, its spine snapped and folded back on itself, was the robot. Crackles of light danced within its head as it turned towards them. Despite the fact that it was a robot, Donna felt vaguely sick. "Help it!" "It's a robot," grunted Ogmoney. "It's injured," Donna said, unable to believe their lack of concern. "It's damaged," corrected Ogmoney. Donna just glared at him, and before anyone could stop her, she crept forwards. Something inside the robot whirred pitifully. "It's okay. You'll be okay." "What is she doing?" Ogmoney whispered. "How are you?" Donna asked the robot. It clicked and sparked pathetically and raised a shuddering arm towards her. For a moment everything was silent, and then, unmistakably, Donna heard the roar of the creature in the darkness. Something dark and sinuous flicked out of the tunnel. "Shoot it!" she called, as Ogmoney pushed alongside her and raised his arm. Glancing down, she saw the tip of his weapon glow a deep red, and there was a ferocious howl from up ahead. "You've hurt it," cried Mizanth. "Well, duh, that is rather the point." Ogmoney fired again, and they heard the creature roar in pain. "Keep firing," Donna said. "Maybe we've hurt it enough," whimpered Mizanth. "Not as long as we can still hear it, we haven't. Isn't there another way through?" "No," said Ogmoney, "but the projector hurt it, so we know it is not invulnerable." "Yeah, but neither are we." Cautiously, the trio moved back towards the damaged bimbot. "Help me!" called Donna, slipping an arm under the broken robot. Neither of them moved to help her. "Can you speak?" she asked the robot. It turned its head, the face still creepily half missing, towards her. Primary functioning impaired." "We have to keep moving," Mizanth urged. "Can't we transmat it back up to the ship?" asked Donna. "Get it repaired?" "Too deep, and we only have one transmat augmenter. We need it for when we find the segment." "Well, use it on her and get Garaman to beam down another." Ogmoney pushed forward and aimed his thermal gun at the bimbot. With barely a pause, he pressed the button, and the robot's head fizzed brightly, like an ember caught in a breeze, and then went dark. Its head lolled, and its whole body sagged against the wall and lay silent and dead. "You killed it," said Donna darkly. "It was a tool. It was broken, and it was holding us up," Ogmoney corrected her. "It was holding you up." Donna got to her feet, barely able to contain her anger. "It could have been repaired." "We have others. Now move." "Or what? You'll shoot me too?" She stood her ground, squaring up to him. "Come on then. What's stopping you, big man?"
Thanks so much, Debbie, for reading that.
Mm-hmm.
You can get the audiobook on Audible or iTunes or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Cool. And Donna wants to help the robot to kind of go to the dying machine's side, but there's nothing she can do for it. So with the monster having reappeared, Ogmoney produces a powerful gun and shoots at it, making it flee down the tunnels. And Mizanth is visibly upset by the screams of pain that he can hear. Donna pleads to have the damaged robot transmatted up to the ship, but Ogmoney shoots it in the head and then moves on, leaving it dead in the passage. So, yeah. Yeah, maybe Donna's not hanging with the right people.
as we heard in the dramatic reading, it's interesting that Donna came up with the idea to send the robot in to face the tentacle monster room first, even though she's also the first to mourn its death. So she at least recognizes the error of her ways there and is able to show some empathy. She shows the same kind of concern that she did, with the Rachnos children in The Runaway Bride, as well as how the Ood were being treated on the Ood sphere. So we get a kind of a very similar vibe there.
And Fight of Pompeii as well. So
with saving Caecilius's family.
Yeah.
So the Doctor's able to beam into the tunnels with Leanne and the big robot called Mother. We should mention, too, that Mother isn't able to speak, so her voice circuits are deactivated, and so she is able to speak through text, through a projected display.
Yeah.
So they are kind of hot on the heels of Donna and her group, and they find the charred and very dead remains of both the tentacle monster and the robot that got smashed up. And Mother is very visibly upset at the robot's demise. Well, the Doctor checks the smashed over body for any sort of backup circuitry containing signs of life, and there aren't any.
So Donna is just thinking about her change of heart regarding the robots. And she's angry that Mesanth and Ogmany are so callous in their attitude to mechanicals. Meanwhile, their arrival in the tunnels has been spotted by the Jafti, who are now in a bit of a panic. And whilst the Jafti were happy to accept the cultists as their new gods, and therefore agreed to look after the device for them, this didn't really mean much to them, as they tend to adopt new religions on a regular basis. They've been through quite a number in the intervening years. And their current religion, worshipping the chicken of the apocalypse, is wearing thin after only 2 weeks. And so we encounter Inchika, who is the high priest of what we believe today. And Inchika is worried that the cultists will want their artifact back. And is fairly certain, but not 100%, that it's stored with hundreds of other redundant religious items in the caves. So Inchika sends someone to look for it, more in hope than certainty it will be found.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the Jafti.
This section of the book was a lot of fun and gave me very much like Terry Pratchett or Douglas Adams vibes.
Yes, yeah.
And this artifact that they're looking for is quite large as well. It's described as almost like a circular, something in diameter that's something like 15 or 20 feet across. Yeah. And I kept picturing like the giant penny from the Batcave.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of size, because it takes a lot of Jafti to move it. So Donna and her 2 cultist companions step onto a ledge in the cavern, and the Jafti are gathering in the pit below, but it looked less odd than Mesanth hoped for. And this was giving me some serious Temple of Doom sort of vibes from Indiana Jones. And Mesanth, the 3-legged lizard creature, he uses a device to make his voice boom out in godlike fashion, like an amplifier, but the Jafti seem underwhelmed. And impatiently, Donna snatches the device and demands to meet the high priest, and her strident tones bring Inchika out onto a platform in the pit, and the rest of the Jafti begin to kneel in devotion. And heartened by this, Donna demands the return of the sacred artifact, but Inchika tells her that the Jafti had moved on and found new gods, including the aforementioned chicken of the apocalypse. And Donna denounces the chicken and all the old gods as false idols, and declares herself as their new goddess, calling herself the Ginger Goddess as she shakes her hair in slow motion. And unknown to her, the Doctor is watching this along with Leanne and Mother from a cave outcrop on the other side of the cavern.
So Inchika is excited beyond measure at the concept of Ginger Goddess, not least because many of the Jafti have similar hair to Donna. And the Jafti begin to bow down and praise the Ginger Goddess. Donna commands that they have no other gods, and that all the relics of their previous religions must be brought to her and cast out. And so the Jafti kind of race off to scour the caves for every religious item they could find, including, hopefully, the sacred artifacts that the cultists are seeking. And Inchika stays behind and asks Donna to descend into the pit, which she does. And she's followed by Mesanth and Ogmany. And eventually a huge collection of relics is produced. and largest amongst them is the sacred artifact. And Donna says she'll take them all to the heavens for disposal. But Enchika says there's no need, because the Jafti will destroy them all, there and then. And he adds that the false gods will die too, and indicates Mesanth and Ogmany as being false gods. And like together with the false icons, the false gods will be burned. And the Jafti kind of like swarm over and they disarm Ogmany. And there's a sudden crash as a large rock drops into the pit. And Mesanth is frozen in fright because he's a lizard and he's sort of a prey animal. And Donna urges him to use this distraction to produce a transmat augmenter that takes the three of them and the sacred artifact out of the cavern. And in the split second before her departure, Donna catches sight of the Doctor on the ledge from which the rock fell. So she knows that the Doctor's kind of tracking her, because like for a while she's been thinking that she's now completely on her own.
You would think, and maybe it's still early days for Donna, but I would imagine like one of the clues that the Doctor's still in relatively close proximity to her is that the TARDIS translation circuits are all still working and stuff. But it's never really addressed in the narrative.
Well, there might be some intergalactic translating thing going on. I mean, like the Jafti seem to basically understand. Like they didn't seem to have an enormous amount of problems with the cultists when they came previously.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So there's probably some sort of universal translator at work.
Yeah.
So then the cult ship, the Darklight, leaves the Karis system soon after they've beamed up the giant artifact, followed at a distance by the Sword of Justice. And the Doctor's on board the pursuing ship, and he's speaking with Mother, the giant robot, and he produces the memory core from the robot that they found in the tunnels. And in deference to Mother's wishes, the Doctor changes the word robot to mechanical in terms of how he refers to them going forward. And he tries to access the memories to see if there's anything that it can tell him what the cultists are up to, or even if there's anything that would allow this mechanical to live again. And there's like there's like a sentience scale or ladder that if you're a robot or a mechanical, you're below a certain number. And if you're above a certain number, then you have artificial intelligence and a consciousness. And Mother opens up a section of her chest and a tendril extends and attaches to the memory core. And while this is happening, the Doctor spots something out of the ordinary inside Mother's chest cavity, and Mother causes a virtual screen to hover in the air, and words appear telling the Doctor that this mechanical's memory is irreparably damaged. But then we also are able to see like the last things that this mechanical saw, and that includes Donna, kind of from the point of view of the dying robot as she offers comfort and help in the last moments of its life. And Mother asks the Doctor why Donna is with the cultists, and the Doctor replies that she was kidnapped and is being held against her will.
So as the conversation continues with the Doctor speaking and Mother writing her answers on the screen, it appears that Mother was created in research laboratories and attached to virtual war simulators, and her most efficient responses were implanted into other war machines, so her children, hence why she's called Mother. And when she found out what was happening, she tried to end her existence but failed. And Booney found her on a scrap heap and repaired her, but she refused to have her speech returned and is mute as a reminder of what happened to her. Like, oh, poor Mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is nice that the AI characters in this, we get as much backstory, as the organics.
Yeah.
So on Darklight, Mesanth, who's the three-legged lizard creature, tells Donna that the cultists, Garaman in particular, are disappointed by the sympathy that she showed to the robot in the tunnel. And Donna finds it incomprehensible that they don't see the robots as sentient, whereas Mesanth is similarly puzzled by her attitude. So then they visit another planet called Junk, which the entire planet is a junkyard or scrap heap. Similar to what we saw in the Sinangra, the Pating one.
Yes.
That episode.
Also as well, I kind of think of the Transformers movie. There's a junk planet on that.
Yeah.
That's a, okay, if you say so, Chris.
Well, I was sort of thinking, are you thinking of Omicron, like their home planet, or was
no,
it a different junk planet?
There was a junk bots, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, this is the movie with Unicron in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. With Orson Welles' final ever appearance.
That's right. Was Leonard Nimoy in that too?
Yes, he was, yes.
Yeah, wow. Yes. So the Doctor and Booney and Mother beam down to this junk planet, and they arrive in a control tower where the junkyardsman is named 77141, and he's a controller, and he is kind of giving the Doctor and Booney grief, and says, hey, you can go find this piece of junk yourself, and this is the sector it's in. But the Doctor kind of gets a feeling that he shouldn't trust this guy. And they leave Mother to keep an eye on the controller because they don't trust him. And so the Doctor and Booney follow a trace and make their way to one of the distant piles of junk on the planet.
And along the way, the Doctor tells Booney what he's learnt from Mother about her start in life in the weapons industry. And Booney is amazed that Mother confided so much to someone that she basically doesn't know. And when they reach the pile, the Doctor uses his screwdriver to set up a scrambler field to basically stop the cultists from beaming up the next segment. And they call Mother down to climb into the pile and locate the segment for them. And she's kind of like tossing down various old bits of redundant machinery all around them. So the Doctor and Booney are unaware that the cultists have arrived in orbit above them. And 77141, the controller, is in contact with Garaman, who tells the controller to call up some large reinforcements. So the Doctor was quite right not to trust them.
As they're digging through the junk, Booney's recalling the last 2 years where they were waiting for the Cult of Shining Darkness to reemerge, and how he's been surveilling them for the past month or so, following them as they've been recovering the first 3 segments of this device. And his recollection is interrupted by the arrival of 2 giant robots striding towards them. One is made up of large spheres kind of arranged in a humanoid shape, and the other is slender but equally as tall, about the size of 2 houses. And they order the Doctor and Booney to stop what they're doing, and they don't really notice Mother at this point. And the Doctor engages them in conversation and finds that they've been sent by the junkyard controller 77141 to kill the intruders. And the robots introduce themselves as Chuck and Crusher. Crusher's job is to compress the junk, and Chuck's task is to throw the junk into the nearest sun, from the planet's surface. So he's quite powerful. And talks about how it takes a lot of calculation to get it right, so you don't throw something into orbit, or to take into account where the sun is moving and where the planet's moving, and all sorts of math to get a good sun shot. And the 2 of them are prevented from carrying out their orders by a tendency to slip into frequent squabbles, usually over Crusher's poor grammar. And the Doctor uses this to their advantage to further their domestic row. And he pauses them and explains that they have a mechanical with them who can vouch for the fact that they're trying to prevent the activities of the Cult of Shining Darkness. And when he points out that the sector they're searching has lain dormant for about 2 years, far longer than is normal in the scrapyard, it's enough for the robots to realize that 77141 was protecting that area and is somehow being paid by the cult to keep something safe.
So meanwhile, a small army of scuttling appliances approach them, and they've obviously been sent to finish the job that Crusher and Chuck aren't actually doing. And Chuck and Crusher gleefully fight them off, whilst Mother appears from a tower of scrap with the 4th segment. Hurrah! And Chuck is flinging one of these kind of army of appliances at the control tower, which brings the structure crashing to the ground. And he then taps into recent planet-to-ship communications and finds out that indeed 77141 is following cult orders. And the 2 giants then stamp away, leaving the Doctor to investigate the segment. And a small robot suddenly starts to speak to the Doctor. It's being used as a conduit to facilitate communications from elsewhere. And using the robot's voice, someone or something tells the Doctor not to interfere with the segment, or Donna will die.
And the Doctor replies that the easiest way to make him start interfering is to threaten Donna. So he jumps up and down on the segment, trying to crack it. And Ogmany and one of the supermodel robots beam down, so he jumps even harder on it until Donna also appears on the planet's surface. The Doctor then throws her his sonic screwdriver, which is transmitting like a low-level transmat interference field around her. And the other two newcomers and the segment are transported away, and at the last moment the Doctor leaps onto the segment and goes with them. Donna switches off the screwdriver, and she finds herself being transmatted with Booney and Mother and this new little robot up to their ship. So effectively, the Doctor and Donna have, switched ships and crews.
Ogmany is alarmed to find a Doctor with him on Darklight, and Ogmany searches the Doctor and pulls a small red sphere from his pocket. And the Doctor advises him that it would be better if he simply returned it, but Ogmany pockets it and says he'll investigate it later. Keep a little eye on that red sphere. And Garaman has the Doctor brought to the bridge of the ship and tied up for questioning. Mesanth, however, intervenes. He points out again to Garaman that such methods are unproductive and has the Doctor released.
We're seeing cracks kind of appear in the facade of the cultists, and we realize that they're not all on the same page.
Yeah.
And back on the Sword of Justice, this little robot, which is called Wiyu, which reminds me of the Doctor Who title sequence, is questioned to find out why it was arguing with the Doctor, but it proclaims its innocence. And Donna argues that force should be used against Wiyu to extract information from the robot, which outrages the rest of the crew. And again, she's perplexed to be kind of so out of step from the thoughts and feelings of those around her, but this time from the opposite point of view from the cultists. And when its internal clocks are checked, they find out that 8 minutes of Wiyu's existence are missing. Mm-hmm. And it was clearly under the power of someone else during that time. And later on, Donna finds herself alone with Mother, and the large mechanical sets up a screen to communicate, and Donna learns that it was Mother who pushed the rock that scared the Japhti and saved her life. And Mother's a little bit puzzled that Donna was so caring for the robot that died in the tunnels, because its intelligence rating was only 23, which is much lower than the 40 that's required to be truly sentient, and that Wiyu, this little robot guy, has a sentience rating of 68 and is seen to be a mere object by Donna. And Mother accuses Donna of judging mechanicals by their outward appearance. And at first, Donna reacts aggressively, saying that she's not a racist, but ultimately concedes that Mother is right based on how Donna's been reacting and judging things.
Yeah, this book definitely captures Donna, I would say, because I can definitely see Donna reacting like this. Yeah, it feels very true to her. Okay, so Darklight enters the Centili system, where the planets are orbiting a black hole, and the four segments of the device are fitted together and put into space, where the Doctor recognises them as a can opener for opening black holes. And when the device is activated, it releases an enormous spaceship called the Torch from the Singularity. And Garaman tells the Doctor that it took an army of robots many years to build the Torch. And Garaman is then interrupted by Ogmany, saying that someone or something has arrived safely. And this triggers an attack on the Sword of Justice, which has tracked them to the system.
And on board the Sword of Justice, the crew is frozen in panic because high-energy beams start ripping the hull apart, and only Donna seems to have the presence of mind to order the crew, both organic and mechanical, to evacuate the ship and its escape pods. Booney refuses to go. He intends to stay on the flight deck and captain the ship, and as the escape pods with the crew are ejected, it leaves Donna, Kalik, Mother, and Wiyu on the bridge. And Booney starts the engines in order to power the ship towards the Torch, and he says that there are about 8 minutes until impact. And his hope is to take out the Torch using his ship as like a battering ram, as like a last-ditch effort. And survival seems impossible until Donna remembers that the TARDIS is somewhere in the hold of the ship. And the five of them run through the corridors of the disintegrating vessel, only to find that the hold is gone, and with it the TARDIS. So they get to like this bulkhead. They look through to where the TARDIS should be, and it's not there. That was a very kind of cool chapter cliffhanger ending. And in one last attempt for survival, the four of them squeeze into a malfunctioned escape pod, which is locked and can't jettison. and Mother climbs out into space on the outside of the hull and rips it free from its clamps. And then in a combination of Mother pushing off the ship and using the thrusters and Mother hanging onto the outside, they're able to leave the proximity of the wrecked spaceship just as another high-energy beam from the dark light slices the Sword of Justice into two, kind of preventing its battering ram approach. And Donna's appalled to think that she's managed to lose the TARDIS.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And that was quite an intense sequence.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Running through.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of these things that I think would have been better on TV because, like, in a book, you kind of like, yeah, they've not lost the TARDIS forever. But if you're watching it on TV, or if this was like a New Adventures, you kind of think, hang on, is something enormous about to happen here? So Garaman, Masanth, the Doctor, and one of the blonde supermodel robots transmat onto the Torch, which is like the enormous spaceship thing. And Garaman tells the Doctor that the vast ship was paid for by wealthy philanthropists who have the satisfaction of seeing robots put in their place and organics returned to the top of the heap. Yeah, any modern parallels there you can find. So Masanth is troubled by the deaths aboard the Sword of Justice, and the Doctor points out that millions more deaths are likely to happen as a result of the planned revolution of the galaxy. And Masanth says he merely wants true life, not mechanical, to take its rightful place. But the Doctor wonders aloud about the possibilities humans might decide the revolution has not gone far enough. Maybe reptiles might go the way of the robots. So planting a seed there in Masanth's head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and kind of speaking to the whole idea or concept of othering people and where your circle extends to and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So then they step into a vast space at the heart of the ship, and only the center is lit, leaving the rest in darkness. And here Garaman decides to reveal the true nature of the cultist plans. He hands an activator to Masanth, who makes his way up the stairs, and Garaman tells the Doctor that in less than a half hour, once Masanth has installed the activator, their plan will be complete. But before he can go further, Donna, Kalik, Booney, Mother, and Wiyu step into the light. Their escape pod has docked with the Torch, and they've made their way through the ship to this location. And one of the blonde supermodel robots turns to attack them, but in a blur of movement, Mother swipes it aside, destroying it. And then suddenly Leanne steps out of the darkness, and Booney wonders how she got off the ship, until the Doctor remarks that she's in fact a double agent working for the cult. And as Garaman claps his hands in triumph, Leanne produces a gun and shoots him between the eyes.
How much of a shock was this for you?
It was a pretty big shock.
Yeah, I would say so for me, yeah.
Like, I hadn't suspected her at all.
No.
The only real big scene she had previously was where she kind of opened up to the Doctor and filled in a lot of backstory. But, there weren't any hints as to her that she was, in fact, one of these Cult of Shining Darkness cult members. So, it was surprising. Yeah.
So, Leanne puts the gun to Donna's head. And the Doctor remarks that Leanne's the one that took control of Weyu on Junk. And he also works out that the Torch, the spaceship, is a giant transmitter, and that the activator is going to link into the Mechanet, kind of like a robot internet, that will give the cult access to the brains of every robot in the galaxy and switch them off. And Leanne says that was Garaman's plan, but she wants to go further. She wants to take control of all the robots. And she starts to lead Donna up the stairs to join Masanth, who Leanne admits is oblivious to this slightly different version of the plan. And as she departs, she orders the lights to be switched on in the area. And the anti-cultists realise that they're surrounded by dozens of the blonde supermodel robots. And when Leanne reaches the top of the steps, she orders the robots to kill all of the newcomers. So things are looking a bit grim.
Yeah. So Mother comes to the rescue and tries to, swat all these supermodel robots, kind of is knocking them into various walls and stuff, trying to clear a path for them to stop the cultist plan. And Weyu tries to access the robots' inputs to see if they can be reprogrammed, but Leanne has switched off their audio and wireless links. All he can find is that they were made by the Metacorin company. Mother flashes up a screen to say that this is the same company that created her too, and that all of these robots are effectively her grandchildren. And the Doctor asks how to get access to their command pathways, and she replies that it's a 256-character string of alphanumerics. And he says that he'll understand if she doesn't want to use the code, but she replies that this isn't murder because these like supermodel robots, they aren't sentient. So switching them off isn't killing them, it's just shutting them down. Mother's able to flash the code visually on her screen, so when the robots view it, they become immobile. Once they get into a certain proximity of Mother, they start deactivating based on that.
It seems like a convenient way.
Well, yeah, I mean, they shut down their audio and their like data input, so all they had was the visual to go on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is wrapped up in a neat little bow.
Yes. So in the laboratory at the head of the stairs, Mesanth is installing the activator. And Leanne tells him about the slight change in plan. And when he objects, she informs him that these were Knu's own ideas, and Knu being the missing cultist leader. And suddenly through the window, they see the others standing outside in the corridor. And Leanne says there's no point in trying to break in, as only a bomb can smash through the reinforced walls and windows. The Doctor replies, it's a good job that they've got a bomb. And he says that when Mother revealed her chest cavity to him on the Sword of Justice, he noticed an antimatter bomb that could destroy the whole station. And Mother's got no idea what he's talking about, but Booney admits that he hid it just in case of such an eventuality. And he apologises to Mother for not telling her, and insists that he's still her friend. And Mother says that he wouldn't have planted such a bomb in an organic life form. And Booney responds by telling her that such a thing would be far harder to accomplish. And in addition, he always planned to be with her if the bomb had to be used.
So yeah, that's a bit of a betrayal of trust, I would say.
Yes, yeah.
Mother's right to not trust Booney.
Yeah.
But
yes.
Mesanth tells them that the activator will be ready in less than 5 minutes, and Booney says he's going to give the Doctor time to try and find a shuttle to get off the ship, but the Doctor says that no, they're all in this together. Mm-hmm. And Booney tells Mother the code, which starts the bomb's countdown. A countdown clock appears on her screen, so they keep glancing at that. And Leanne decides to cut her losses and grabs the activator. She says that she can find another transmitter to complete her plan later on. And she communicates with the Darklight ship, and the transmat beams both her and Mesanth away. Weyu asks Booney to stop the bomb, but Booney replies that it can't be switched off once the countdown has begun. And this upsets the Doctor too. Leanne and Mesanth arrive on the Darklight, where they join Ogmany, and he picks up the red ball that he took from the Doctor, and he wonders why it started flashing. And as he wonders this, the ship is vaporized in the subsequent antimatter explosion.
So after the countdown has reached 0 and the torch is still intact, Booney realises that the bomb must have been on the cultist ship. And the Doctor tells him that he explained to Ogmany when he took the bomb that he wouldn't really want it. And on the view screens, they look at the blackness where the dark light used to be, and they see the TARDIS drifting in space, which is very convenient. And the Doctor says he'll use a shuttle from the torch to pick up the TARDIS, and then take their new friends home, after he's crashed the torch into the black hole. And he asks them where they want to be taken, and Weyu begs to go to Pasquite, where there's a robot theme park that can simulate what it feels like to be a squidgy, which is a term for an organic life form. So.
And I will point out that this resolution is the same that was used in Father Time with the Eighth Doctor and the bomb in his coat, where he switched it out. So standing beside the TARDIS, looking at the largest theme park she's ever seen, Donna wonders if the cult of Shining Darkness is finished. The Doctor replies that there are still millions more out there with the same ideas as the cult, unfortunately. And they watch two mechanicals walking side by side with two organic children on their backs. And he says this is what normality should be, and Donna agrees that these are people, just people. And that is where our story ends.
Yeah, so what did you make of it?
Well, let's say this. Compared to Campaign, which is our previous month's story, I enjoyed this quite a lot. I thought there was, it was a little bit maybe by the book in terms of, a standard Doctor Who outing, but I thought it had some things to say about organic supremacists, versus machine intelligences, and kind of a fear that I think are in all people, right? That, you might have like an Order 66 or a Skynet happening someday, and, having machine intelligences take over. So it very much plays on that fear, which we've seen in science fiction before. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, there's a great message about tolerance. I mean, the metaphor isn't necessarily particularly subtle, but yeah, there's a wonderful line from Mother at one point where Mother, well, I was going to say says, I mean, Mother doesn't say anything, Mother types, that we are only as ignorant as we choose to be. Like that seems to kind of like be like the message of the book, I think, really. It was kind of like a rollicking adventure. I mean, the JT, that cult, those worshippers that have a whole host of different artifacts from different religions that visited them, I thought brilliant. Yeah, it was fun, I think, with some flashes of serious messaging, and it was just what the Doctor ordered.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it came at a good time in terms of like I was actually looking forward to reading this book and finishing it, so that very much appealed to me. I liked Mark Michalowski's writing style. I felt it was very evocative of the TV show, especially the dialogue and the main characters. Certainly spot on.
Yeah.
I was excited that we got a book with Donna. You know, she doesn't have that many books. And as I was mentioning last month, she's probably my favorite new series companion. So all of her scenes, I was kind of grinning ear to ear when I was reading those. And I also mentioned this earlier, but I really do appreciate the newness of this being set in the Andromeda Galaxy, given, you know, how much of the show is set within our own galaxy. So some of those elements felt very foreign, yet also very familiar too, with like, you know, how robots were being treated and stuff. Yeah. And of course, I also liked, you know, the whole collecting segments thing, much like the Key to Time, and the Cricket Men and the Quest narrative. I guess one of the things that I didn't care for was don't particularly like stories where the Doctor and the companion are separated for more than half of the story. And I was really hoping, like that scene in the caves, that the Doctor and Donna would have met up there and continued on together rather than kind of swap positions and keeping them separate throughout the entire adventure. So that was a little bit of a disappointment there. But
I mean, there's such strong flavors. I mean, I think they very much stood on their own 2 feet, you know, in their own sections, the Doctor and Donna. Yeah, it's always fun to have the TARDIS crew together. But yeah, I think Donna is definitely a character you can do this with.
And I loved all the scenes with her, with the Jaff tea and, you know, the All Hail the Ginger Goddess.
Yes.
It was very similar to what happened to Graham in The Good Doctor, but, you know, much shorter, quicker segment here with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't the Doctor make some kind of comment of, oh, they always think that they're a goddess at some point or something?
Yeah, maybe that's a oblique reference to the Stone Rose or something.
Well, or the fact that, you know, Bad Wolf and...
Oh, yeah. Some of the 10th Doctor's dialogue was a little bit groan-inducing, but I felt that was very close to the show. Like, for example, when he does the bomb swap at the end, he says, live by the sword, die by the sword, in reference to the Sword of Justice and, you know, the ship, and kind of, you know, those groan-inducing quips were well represented. Coming from David Tennant.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily imagine David Tennant coming out with a lot of this dialogue.
The other thing that I thought was kind of fun was that this was, you can tell, is very much set in the aughts. Like, there's a couple of points where Donna mentions technology like, oh, her camera and her phone and MP3 players and video recorders. And it's like, those are all one device now.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And she was mentioning, you know, DVD players. And
Yeah, but she also makes a reference to Sister Wendy, who's a kind of like an art historian that was on TV quite a lot in the 90s and noughties. Yeah, a nun that had a penchant for fine art. And, yeah, that's a reference to that took me back. Thought Donna would notice that. So, yeah. Donna was very much in her kind of like her space boy type thing. But,
yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you enjoy Donna and the Doctor, I think you'll get a big kick out of this book. Like, the 10th Doctor isn't my favourite sort of like modern series Doctor. However, there is some magic, particularly when he's paired with Donna. Yeah, this book, I think, really does channel it.
So how would you score this one?
How would I score this one? So I think I'm going to give this one a 7, but it's a high 7, but it's a 7. I mean, I enjoy the messaging. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I could have had a little bit more complexity in there, but yeah, no, it was good. It's good. Yeah, I very much enjoyed it. And even though, we discussed the plot, I mean, I think, it's a nice, comforting read, I think, at a time in which the world doesn't have a lot of comfort in it. So, how about you?
It's a 7 out of 10 for me as well. And I would say a high 7. And it's a competent adventure. It's a little formulaic. Like I said, it really had the Doctor and Donna's voice down pat. I appreciated the artificial intelligence versus organics plot, which, by the way, is the same plot as the first season of the Star Trek Picard series.
Yeah, so it is.
And I think it may have been like a 6 out of 10 just plot-wise for me, but I appreciate what the book had to say about extending empathy to those outside of your immediate tribe and needing to use imagination to put yourself into someone else's shoes or position. And, that's a message that's needed, especially now. But it was a little kind of front and center, nail on the head sort of. It would have been nice if it was a little bit more subtly woven throughout. But sometimes you do have to address that sort of thinking head on to stop it. But I guess I just wish that the supporting characters on both ships were a little bit more interesting and a little bit less cliched archetypes and maybe had a little bit more development there. So, yeah, I would say a strong 7 for me as well.
Excellent. All right.
Shall we move on to listener feedback?
Yeah, let's. Yes.
Listen.
All right, so we have an email this month from our friend, the Irredeemable Shag from the Fire and Water Podcast Network. Shag says, "Hi, Matt and Chris. Congratulations on reaching 60 episodes. Quite the achievement. Just dropping you a line thanking you for the hours of entertainment. At the end of December and into January, we moved into a new house. Shortly afterwards, my entire family caught COVID. Needless to say, it was a rough few weeks, but listening to several episodes of the all-new Doctor Who Book Club podcast helped me get through the tough times. My compliments to you both for producing an entertaining and engaging podcast, regardless of your opinion on the subject matter. For example, you managed to keep the episodes interesting and funny while reviewing books such as Asylum and Deep Blue. Some of those body horror scenarios sounded pretty gruesome, yet it made for an enjoyable listen while I was personally frustrated trying to assemble new bookcases." Which he filled by buying quite a few books at Gallifrey, I noticed. He says he'll miss seeing me at Gallifrey 1, but hopefully we can catch up next year. And he says he's currently reading the novelization of the 96 TV movie, and he's having fun comparing that edition to the version that came out in 2021. And thanks again for a great show.
Cool. We also heard from him on Facebook as well.
Oh, did we?
Yes, yeah. So he said that he finished up Shining Darkness tonight. This was last night. And he described it as a rollicking read, which captured the Doctor and Donna's voices. And the message about racism feels even more relevant now than when published. Doesn't it just? So, yes.
We also heard from him on Twitter. He also said that the Jafti species gave him a real Douglas Adams vibe, and he says that his next read is At Childhood's End,
cool.
which he purchased recently based on our recommendation. And I'd recommend going for the audiobook version of that. Sophie Aldred does a great job, and it's got some cool effects and music too. We've heard from a pair of Pauls on Facebook as well.
We have. So Paul Scoons has been in contact, thanked us for providing a link to the ebook, and we thanked him and Jim Mortimer for making the ebook of Campaign available to everyone, which it is. Yeah, that was great. And we also heard from Paul Mars, friend of the show, who was listening to our Missy episode and complimented. Had some lovely things to say about the reading and the performance, and it was, which is fantastic. Which we passed on to the Ouija Doctor, who had provided that fantastic reading. So I think that was our November episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, from Alia Itori,
yes,
and her dramatic reading performance for the Missy Chronicles episode. If you haven't heard it, please go back and listen to it. It's great.
Yes. She
mentioned on Twitter, she says, "Paul Mars liked my reading. Thanks again to the podcast for asking her to perform, and thanks to Paul Mars for writing a great story."
Yeah, it's fantastic. We also, again, Facebook was really busy. And so we heard from David Bayliss, who has only discovered the podcast recently, and he's been listening to Voyager, a Voyager episode. It was episode 15, back in May 2018. Oh, can you remember what the world was like in May 2018? And he says it's nice to be in pre-COVID times. Like media can be a wonderful form of time travel. And he describes the podcast as a go-to favourite, and he says the experience is a bit odd because apparently my voice is creepily similar to his. So it's lots of lovely things, and says that it's great when you and I have different, sometimes opposing tastes.
Well, sorry to disappoint you for this month because we scored it the same. But
Yes.
on Twitter, we also heard from Keith Say, 50DW50 on Twitter, who thanked us for the campaign podcast and said he very much enjoyed it.
Cool. So I think we're getting to the point where you tell us what we're going to be reading next month, unless there's anything else on Twitter.
Nope. It is that time. So David might be particularly impressed with my next pick because the recent season 22 trailer has got me strangely wanting some more Sixth Doctor and Perry.
Ooh.
So I figure it's time for us to finish their run of comic strip adventures from the pages of Doctor Who magazine. So for April, Chris, we will be reading The World Shapers, which features artwork from John Ridgway and scripts from the legendary Grant Morrison, Jamie Delano, Simon Furman, Mike Collins, and Alan Mackenzie.
Wow.
And there are 10 stories collected in that. I'm sure we'll have to get the TARDIS timer out.
Yes. And also, as well, rather brilliantly, it features dear old Frobisher.
Yes, I've missed Frobisher.
Yeah. Oh.
So I think it'll be great to finish out that collection.
Yes.
And I know there's like The Age of Chaos, but that was published kind of, after the fact.
Yeah, somewhat after the fact. Yes. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's great.
And looking on Amazon, it looks like it is out of print, but there are new copies available from third-party sellers for a couple of pounds cheaper than what the cover price of the book is. So it's still out there, and hopefully you have plenty of time to order a copy before we jump in.
Cool. I am very much looking forward to reading The World Shapers and stuff, because you haven't read any of those, have you?
I have not, so this will be my first time reading them, and
cool.
I'm glad you have a copy, because when I saw on Amazon that it was out of print at first, I was like, oh, can I even pick this? But...
Yeah. No, it's fine.
Excellent.
I have a copy on my shelves that has been slightly rearranged by a rabbit, but I have learnt over time to be very careful with what I put on the lower bookshelf. But yes. Yes, like Matt kind of going, I would not have allowed that to happen.
My cats are pretty good about leaving my books be, fortunately.
Yes, yeah. She's pretty good most of the time, but every now and again she might just kind of like wander over and just be a bit cheeky. And she's often having a look at us, kind of going, "Look, I'm being a rapscallion. You need to give me some apple."
She's just having a little nibble. It's fine.
It's fine.
There's plenty of other stories in the book.
Yeah. It is just a spine. So, yeah. Anyway, right. On that somewhat surreal note.
Until next month, this has been Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London. Happy reading and stay safe.
Thank you for listening to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. Special thanks to George C. Music for use of their song Doctor Who Theme Swing Jazz Version. You can follow us on Twitter at ANDWBC Podcast and like us on Facebook. Help other listeners to find us by leaving a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. You can contact the show by emailing your thoughts to andwbcpodcast@gmail.com. And until next month, happy reading.
Yes, behold me! Behold Donna! She took a step forward and shook her hair like someone in a shampoo commercial. Behold the Ginger Goddess!